Hello people, how you doing? I hope you're having a fantastic damn day. Welcome back to the channel. So, we'll be breaking down ways that you can replicate and recreate Nice's set of tactics, the 4-3-3 system, under the likes of Farioli. Of course, a former De Zerbi coach. So, you know what? De Zerbi, he's doing his thing at the moment. He's got his coaches spreading their wings, flying high in League 1, especially. Of course, currently still undefeated this season, which is quite impressive to say the very least. Not scoring that many goals, but effectively in and out of possession, very, very good, very, very dominant. So it's going to be my job to try and show you guys how you can replicate and recreate their tactics in the game FC24. So starting off with the formation going forward, it's just a 4-3-3 basic. There's no real changes to it. It's a holding formation. So it's one goalkeeper, two centre backs, two fullbacks, one DM, two central midfielders, one striker, and then of course two wingers. With the tactics going forward, I think the best tactical vision that you can try and implement everything into is probably going to be the tactical vision of wing play. Now, getting their fullbacks as well as their wingers very much involved in the games, having the ability to pass into those central areas and then have the ability to then bounce pass it back out to the wider regions, whether it's to the wingers or the progressive fullbacks, having them carry the ball over long distances along the touch lines. It is a very effective and realistic OG Nice set of tactics. For the defensive style, however, it is set to pressing off loss of possession, very aggressive with it. They do tend to press in a 4-4-2 formation. It's a very different and structured 4-4-2 formation, but nonetheless, they do try and press, making sure it's very hard for the opposition to try and play through the lines. And more or less, when you are looking to try and be aggressive out of possession and win that ball back with a very aggressive press, the 4-4-2 does tend to help more times than not. The team width, however, is set to 40, of course, preventing those wider areas from being attacked with those crosses into the box, as well as trying to also prevent, in certain moments, people trying to play through the center of the park. Of course, you will leave a bit more gaps in the central areas, but nonetheless, it is a very standardized approach for how most teams try and press and try and, you know, turn the ball over, especially when they are out of possession of it. For the depth, it is set to 60, which is a bit of a mid-block, you could say. I would say you can maybe push it up, but they don't always play a super high line. Of course, they are carrying the likes of Dante, who is damn near 40 in the backline, so you want to try and protect him. The likes of Todibo is fantastic, good recovery pace, very strong and physical, good passing ability as well. In fact, both centre backs are very good on the ball, so you want to try and implement them a bit more into the offensive build-up play going forward, and we will get to that soon enough. But more times than not, they are going to more or less try and look to set up a mid-block and then try and be a bit more progressive from then on out. As for the offensive side of things, the build-up play is set to slow build-up, as well as the chance creation is set to possession. They do look to try and keep the ball, look after it, have a lot of passes in and around the back line area, trying to draw the opposition out. With goalkeeper restarts, of course, the centre-backs will show for the ball, progress it into the midfield. But yes, you are going to look to try and have your centre-backs more or less dictating the pace of play at times, with their unique ability to find passes in between the lines at times, trying to provide a more progressive platform for the offense to build up off of. So you are going to look to try and keep the ball as much as possible with this team. Of course, they don't score as many goals, and maybe they are slightly underperforming on the offensive side of things, but they do keep clean sheets. They do play a good brand of football, and that's more or less what you're trying to implement here. Of course, it is only the first stage or so of the Nice rebuild under Farioli, so we'll give it time, but so far it's looking really, really good. The team width is set to 60 now. It's not the widest of spreads, and it's more or less the bottom end of what you would be looking to try and do with a team, a wing play tactical vision approach, right? But you don't really always want your wingers staying too far wide. Sometimes they do tend to drift inside, get nice and close to the striker. Other times the fullbacks also will look to do the same, and they kind of alternate between who holds the touchline and who doesn't. So for this set of tactics, the wingers will look to more or less try and predominantly do that, with your fullbacks inverting a little bit, but sometimes they do tend to, you know, have a bit more of a mixture and a dynamic approach. So you won't have the widest of teams. You want to try and focus a lot of your passes centrally and trying to get the opposition more central and then bounce past them out into those wider, more open regions of the field. As for players in the box, I have set it to 6, so it's going to be your 3 main attackers at times. Sometimes, if not, sometimes it could potentially be one of your advanced midfielders, your advanced number 8, them making a bit more of a deeper run into the box, looking to try and attack it. Maybe it might be the likes of Thuram at times. I know he does look to try and adventure into the box. So you can play around with it. 6, I think, is a happy medium to go with. You could bounce it up to 7 if you are trying to be a bit more attacking and imposing on the opposition, but I think personally 6 is the way. As for corners and free kicks, as per always, I've set it to 4. So starting off with the instructions at the back with the goalkeeper Bolka, very base set of instructions if you might say so yourself. Set to come for crosses, of course, being very aggressive. He is 6'6", so he's very, very tall, can claim those aerial balls whipped into the box, very good at doing so. And then, of course, you aren't playing the highest of line, so you don't really need it, but he is going to be set to a bit more of a traditional base goalkeeper where he's going to stay on his line and make the saves. Very good at doing so nonetheless, so I don't think you can go wrong with that. Moving on into our back line. Now, the likes of Dante will be a bit more of the preserved, sweeper type centre back, not looking to extend himself too much or be too aggressive or do too much with it, but he is going to take up that left-hand sided position, but with his base set of instructions, whereas the likes of Todibo, a bit more of an aggressive, more physical, more imposing of the two. He is going to be able to stay back while attacking, of course, aggressive interceptions, and then being able to step up, being very aggressive towards the opposition at times, sometimes looking to even collect the ball and then progress it into the midfield and then spray passes forward. Moving out wide to our fullbacks now, they've both got the same set of instructions, both Latomba as well as Bard, or it could be Perot, who I really like from Southampton, by the way. But both of them are set to join the attack, very instrumental in being able to link up with either the midfield or potentially the wingers at times. Their run type is set to mixed as well as the interception set to normal. And then as for the defensive positioning, it is just set to the base, stick to position. As you can see for the likes of Bard, he has got the same set of instructions as well. Moving on into the midfield now, starting off with the DM. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name because I will absolutely butcher it. But you guys know, I always try. But this man, oh hell no. Anyway, point is though, he's set to cut passing and stay back while attacking. Aggressive interceptions are set to be on with him, linking up very effectively with that aggressive approach with Todibo at times. And then his positioning freedom is set to stick to position. You don't really need him dropping in and being the deep-lying playmaker at times because that's more or less what your centre-backs will look to try and do. He is going to try and protect the backline as best as possible. And you will see, by the way, you will see that at times he will take up a bit more of a centre-back role, especially with the press and how the press is stagnated and how we try and press and force them to press in like a 4-2-3-1 or sometimes even a 4-3-3, creating a few overloads in certain areas that do help you win the ball back more effectively. And then as for his defensive position, it is set to cover the centre. You don't really want him doing too much drifting into the wide channels. You want him more or less staying central, protecting the backline, sometimes dropping into it, and then making sure that everything is nice and sturdy on the defensive side of things. Moving on to our number 8, both Sanson and Thuram have the same set of instructions, I will say that. A very dynamic approach. Most of it is set to the base set of instructions with obviously the support on crosses being told to get into the box. So they will look to be a bit more of the box-to-box player at times, both of them. So looking to sometimes help out the DM or maybe the centre-backs with the creating of the offensive platform to build up off of, or potentially finding themselves slightly higher up the field, a bit more involved in the attacking outlets, and looking to try and link up more effectively with the striker and the wingers. So like I said earlier, they will look to try and make those deep diving runs into the box. Not all the time will it be both of them, but you do like to try and create that alternating approach where one time it might be Sanson, the other time it might be Thuram, and the game does tend to do that more effectively, especially with your settings being set to 6. So it is more or less always going to be 3 players, so it does balance itself out quite nicely. The interceptions are set to normal. They don't look to try and be too overly aggressive and stick themselves in weird places and out of positions at times. They want to try and keep their structural integrity in the central areas. And then as for the positioning of the defensive side of things, they're going to look to cover the wing as well as stick to position. Also not looking to be a free roaming player or drifting out wide solely. They're going to look to try and stick to that central role, looking to be a bit more of a rotational piece at times when in and around the opposition's box, whether it's rotating themselves into the box or looking to stay on the edge of the area, trying to facilitate the pace of play. As you can see here for the likes of Catherine Thuram, he's got the same set of instructions as well, looking to do the same job but on the left-hand side. Now, we move on into the front line. The likes of Jeremy Bogger, a really good signing for them, a very progressive ball-carrying player on that left-hand side, very good in the 1v1 situations as well. So, very, very astute signing, and one that's probably transformed this side the most, I would say. Anyway, he's set to come back on defense, looking to try and help out the fullback when needed, and as well as he's going to try and hold the width in the team down this left-hand channel. More times than not, looking to try and create those 1v1 situations, trying to take on the man, creating a bit more space at times for the fullback to try and work into, or potentially looking to try and work some space into for himself to try and whip in a cross or potentially a shot. His support runs is set to balance, so again, he can look to sometimes drift more centrally, link up more effectively with the midfield, or potentially looking to beat his man and get him behind. Aggressive interceptions are set to be on, and this does go hand in hand with them trying to aggressively win that ball back, looking to consistently try and press the opposition backline as well as the goalkeeper. And then for the support on crosses, and this was where the dynamic approach comes in, it's set to balance, right? You want him sometimes making those advanced runs into the box, trying to attack those cutback opportunities or crosses. Other times looking to hang on the edge of the area, waiting to try and facilitate a bit more space, maybe even whipping in crosses of his own for the attacking third. As you can see for the right-hand side of the board, he's got a slightly differing role, and this is more or less trying to factor in the 4-4-2 press or the 4-3-3 press that they do look to try and implement at times. Trying to stay a bit more central at times with the likes of Moffy. So we have got him set to having a basic defensive support. So sometimes he can look to track back, but other times he'll look to stand slightly high up the field, look to link up more effectively with Moffy, look to try and press the back line of the opposition a bit more effectively as well. His chance creation is set to having a balanced width, so not always looking to stay wide like the left-hand side will do. He can do that, yes. Effectively, yes. But other times looking to try and cut inside a bit more. It's all about trying to get him as close to the striker as can be, like I say, especially when you are trying to replicate a very aggressive pressing system. The support runs is also set to balance, so he can look to come short, other times looking to use his pace and get him behind, and sometimes even be the target man, have a bit more hold-up play to his game, look to back into the opposition and link up more effectively with the fullback or potentially the midfield. His interceptions is set to aggressive, as well as his support on crosses is solely set to for him to be in the box at all times, not always looking to cross it, looking to be on the end of those crosses. And then finally, we have got our striker in play. A very effective man, nonetheless, and he is very good at doing so. Very good at backing into the opposition, linking up more effectively, dropping off the opposition's backline at times, drawing players out, opening up a bit more space for others. Very, very good striker. And that's been Nice's wild card, you could say. So, in order to replicate his instructions, it's all about his positioning and his integrity to the structure of this formation, but he is going to stay central. More times than not, you will find him centrally waiting for those crosses to be whipped into him. His attacking runs is set to target man, so he's not always going to look to run him behind. You can obviously have him do so with double tapping L1 or the left bumper or whatever your controllers are to make that progressive run forward. But more times than not, you want him having the physicality to be able to take the opposition's backline out of the game at times, whether it's dropping off the backline or backing into them, being a bit more aggressive with them. His interceptions is set to aggressive. You want him aggressively closing down the backline of the opposition or the goalkeeper, cutting out certain passing angles, passing lanes, forcing them, dictating where they play going forward. And then finally, having the ability to drop off that opposition defense. Like I say, very good at doing so, can effectively open up a lot more space for either the wingers or potentially the number 8s to work into. So yes, people, that is my version of Nice's tactics, the 4-3-3. If you have enjoyed it, please hit that like button. I would like to know some suggestions of yours down below in the comment section. But until then, have a smashing damn day. I'm out. I'm going to work on the next video tomorrow. Please, that video, I've already actually worked on it. It's fantastic. Come back tomorrow. I'll see you then. Be there or be a square. I'm out.